good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this last day of February 2023. Well, this year is just flying past. Doesn't it feel that way? Yes, so this is the last day of February 2023. Well, what do we have for you today? Well, the daily news update, and of course, we have the daily India report coming up. Unfortunately, we still don't have the upcoming events, maybe from tomorrow. Well, right now, let's go to Western Sydney, where a police station, right in front of the police station, has been declared a crime scene zone.
Critical investigation is currently underway. We're outside of Auburn Police Station, where it's currently covered in blue and white tape after the scene itself has been officially declared a crime scene due to the events that unfolded last night. So at about 12:08 a.m, just after midnight, a man attended the police station holding a knife. Now, the confrontation that ensued actually resulted in police shooting the man. Officers at the scene had attempted to perform CPR and provide first aid for the man, and that was before paramedics arrived. He was then transported to Westmead Hospital in a critical condition, but died a short time later. It is believed that this man, who has yet been formally identified, is the same man that was involved in a stabbing incident earlier that night. At about 12:03 a.m. at the Auburn railway station, a 28-year-old man was stabbed by another man who is believed to be that same man. Now, the Auburn train station is just a short 350-metre walk away from the police station itself. Now, the younger man was treated at the scene at railway station, and he has been transported also to Westmead Hospital, where he is currently in a stable condition. Now, the incident that unfolded last night is also going to have the state's homicide squad investigate the incident, including the discharge of a firearm, a police firearm, and it will also be subject to an independent review. It is also believed that while this police station itself has been declared a crime scene, the command bus outside has been set up for the public's use, so people can also attend to if they have required police services later today.
There you are. What irony that a police station is now declared a crime scene zone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now, the other news is with this, everything that's happening in and around the interest rate, what effect does it have on the housing prices? Are the housing prices stable? Are they going to drop even further?
We think there's 3 more interest rate hikes to 4.1%. So that's another 0.75 percentage points on people's mortgages, assuming that financial institutions pass them on. And we know they generally have been. And then for housing prices, every time the Reserve Bank hikes rates, everybody can borrow less. That pushes down the maximum that they can pay at an auction. And we think housing prices will go down another 10% this year.
Okay, on average across the country. Can I just ask you a question? Different banks put out different projections for how long, for how many rate rises we're going to have. How do you all come to such different ones? Because there's one who only says 1 and others say 4.
Yeah, so we all independently look at how the economy is going, how we think households are going, what we think the risks are, and also what we think that Reserve Bank's approach will be. So there are always going to be differences. ANZ, my forecast team has actually been probably the most accurate over the period. We said plus 3% from very, very early on, while some other banks were saying a top of 1.25. Look, we're at 3.35 now, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think, there's a really big risk that we're going to see at least 4.1. I mean, look, it's the future, so we're always going to come to different conclusions. But the way I'm seeing the data is households are spending, they're buying airline tickets, their actually housing prices have gone up a touch in the last couple of days, which is showing real strength in household finances. We know the Reserve Bank's own research says $300 billion of savings in 2023 extra compared to a world where COVID never happened. And all of those things for us say at least 3 more rate hikes.
And meanwhile, people who were on those fixed rates, fixed at those ultra-low rates during the pandemic, they're starting to roll off now. You're seeing a lot of that.
That's right. So at its peak, for every $100 of mortgage debt that Australia had, $40 was fixed. Now only $30 is fixed, and by the end of the year it'll be more like $20. And every time that dollar amount goes down, there's a bunch of people who are increasing their mortgage payments, which makes it harder for them to do that. But so far that roll-off has not caused any problems.
Okay, all right, Adelaide, thank you very much for that. Some updates, interesting updates, and if you are rolling off onto a variable, not terrific news, I'm afraid, from Adelaide Timbrell, but she just calls it how she sees it.
Gee, these consultants are getting younger by the day, aren't they? Well, I mean, looking at the amount of information she had, she looked to be very, very young. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on, the report that warns of the antibiotic-resistant superbugs. So these days, once we start taking antibiotics and all the drugs, and there comes a point in time where it does not have effect on a person anymore. What is that situation?
Antimicrobial resistance is when microbes that cause disease become resistant to the medicines that we've designed and developed to treat ourselves and to kill those bugs. And it is happening really quite quickly. We do have reports in Australia that show resistance, and I should say that resistance is particular bugs with particular antibiotics, but there's also other types of bugs as well, is on the rise. And the international reports state that up to 10 million people per year could be dying from antimicrobial resistance by 2050, but in Australia we already suspect that at least around 5,000 people are dying because of a drug-resistant infection, and this could come from a bloodstream infection or from an infected wound or surgical site. And it affects, I should say, our animals and pets as well. We're all subject to infections, and we need antimicrobials to treat those infections.
So when you say we're already seeing examples of it, what do you mean?
So when we hear about things in the news like golden staph or methicillin-resistant Staph aureus, this is a particular bacterium that has picked up the ability to survive in the presence of these antibiotics. And lots of bacteria have the ability now to survive in the presence of many of our antibiotics. And we see this through the need for repeat and different antibiotic prescriptions when we go to the doctor and the first one doesn't work, maybe the second one doesn't work, and maybe nothing works. And that is the reality that we are potentially facing in the future.
This is not just a health issue, is it? It's economy as well, I imagine.
Absolutely, Lisa, and we've seen that through COVID. So it's a national security issue, it's an economic issue, it's also a social issue, because we know that there are certain segments of the population that are more likely to be affected by this than others.
When we're talking about the surgeries and what is happening with this particular issue, life expectancy in the end would have to have taken a hit as well.
Sure, we'd be returning to that pre-antibiotic era if we didn't have things like antibiotics, because often they are given before surgery just to prevent the chance of infection. But there are things we can do, and I think we should...
That was going to be my next question. What can we do here?
Wonderful. Well, look, so CSIRO worked with the Academy of Technology and Engineering to think about this problem creatively and collaboratively. And we can't just rely on the development of new medicines. We know the microbes in our environment, they're very good at adapting and evolving to anything we throw at them. So we really need to look upstream. And I think Australia has a fantastic opportunity to look at what we can do to prevent and manage antimicrobial resistance. And our report focused in on 4 things, which was sensing and surveillance, point of care diagnostics, to know, do you really need that antibiotic? Because the more we use them, the faster we lose them, as well as vaccines, so building on our investment in vaccines over COVID, and looking at high-risk settings. I mean, imagine if every time an engineering firm was commissioned to build a hospital, they thought about where they might place sensors to detect drug-resistant superbugs, and where you might be able to sample and test for those, and even where you might be able to treat that water coming out of the hospital. I think that's the future that we're looking for, to be really focused, creative, and to put critical mass behind the prevention of antimicrobial resistance.
So there you are, as they reckon, even for many kinds of treatments, if you keep using the same drug for a long time, it diminishes its value, or the effect that it has. And they say you always need to rotate or break the cycle as well to continue. Well, these are medical science and the way things are going. Scientists keep developing new drugs and new treatments, and the bugs are getting smarter and smarter by the day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. India has insisted on using dialogue and diplomacy to contribute to the peace process and resolve the Ukraine crisis. This was communicated during the highest level talks between India and Germany, a top player in the European Union. Visiting German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was told by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi that India feels strongly about resolving the Ukraine crisis through dialogue and diplomacy, and said that India is ready to contribute to any peace process. Modi communicated this insistence to Scholz on February 25th. Scholz arrived in New Delhi on February 25th, the day the Ukraine war entered its second year. Scholz described the conflict as a major catastrophe as it violated the principle of not changing borders through the use of violence. Scholz said at a joint media interaction with Modi that it is important for countries to state very clearly where they stand on the war at the United Nations. The Ukraine crisis, broadening trade and investment and countering climate change were on Scholz's two-day visit agenda. Prime Minister Modi noted that the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine conflict have negatively impacted developing countries and called for joint efforts to address these problems. Modi called on Germany, India's largest trade partner in Europe, to take advantage of opportunities opened up by the Make in India and Self-Reliant India initiatives. He said that the Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement signed by the two countries last December will further deepen the relationship. Scholz noted that 1,800 German companies active in India have created tens of thousands of jobs and expects the number to go up massively. India has expressed gratitude to G20 member countries for providing strong support to India for the G20 presidency on all key priorities. Indian Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on February 25th said that India's G20 presidency had received strong support from all members on all key priorities. Indian Finance Minister also said that she is grateful to the USA and the UK for their supportive role in the global coordination framework, particularly on crypto. Addressing a press conference on the concluding day of the first finance ministers and central bank governors meeting, Sitharaman said, quote, Saudi Arabia came to help with the resolution on fuel security. China and Saudi Arabia came forward on climate finance mobilization. Japan and United Kingdom supported all priorities of India's G20 presidency, end quote. During the deliberations, quite a few finance ministers and the central bank governors did mention India's United Payments Interface as a success story, which can guide the future of interoperable payment systems between countries and for the cross-border transfer of money. The meeting of the first finance ministers and central bank governors under India's G20 presidency agreed to strengthen multilateral coordination by official bilateral and private creditors to address the deteriorating debt situation and facilitate coordinated debt treatment for debt-distressed countries. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also held a roundtable with the heads of the World Bank and the IMF and discussed the issue of debt restructuring faced by some countries. The roundtable with World Bank President David Malpass and IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva held on the sidelines of the first G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting, discussed the issue of debt restructuring challenges and debt vulnerabilities. The finance ministry said in a tweet that the finance minister flagged the need to acknowledge today's diverse creditor landscape and build a common understanding of challenges and ways to address them. Congress-led UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi has hinted that her innings could conclude with the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Former Indian National Congress President Sonia Gandhi hinted at the end of her political innings. In her address to the plenary session of the Congress Party, Gandhi said, "Our victories in 2004 and 2009, along with the able leadership of Dr. Manmohan Singh, gave me personal satisfaction. And what gratifies me most is that my innings could conclude with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, a turning point for Congress." Speaking in Raipur of Chhattisgarh state, the chairperson of the Congress-led UPA alliance said, quote, "This is a challenging time for Congress and the country as a whole. BJP RSS has captured and subverted every single institution in the country. It has caused economic ruin by favouring a few businessmen," end quote. Targeting the BJP, Gandhi said, quote, "BJP is fueling fire of hatred. It viciously targeted minorities, women, Dalits, tribals. We must tackle the BJP regime with vigour, reach out to people and convey our message with clarity," end quote. Karnataka state in southern India will see enhanced air connectivity as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Shivamogga Airport that has been built at the cost of nearly $60 million. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Shivamogga Airport in Karnataka on February 27th. The aerodrome is built at a cost of Rs 450 crores or nearly $60 million, and it will cater to the people of central Karnataka with improved air connectivity. The airport's operation will help in the region's growth in various sectors like tourism, IT industry establishment, and more. It may be noted that Karnataka is one of India's wealthiest states with maximum global digital technology companies operating major enterprises from the state capital of Bangalore. Modi tweeted that the airport in Shivamogga will boost commerce, connectivity, and enhance tourism. The passenger terminal building of the airport can handle 300 passengers per hour and will serve as a gateway to the Malnad region. The Shivamogga Airport meets the growing demand of the central Karnataka region while creating employment opportunities for the local youth. While in Karnataka, Prime Minister Modi also laid the foundation stones for 2 new railway projects. A new line will be built on the Shikaripura-Ranbennur route, and another new coach depot at Kote Gangagaru railway station. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said that his country wants to ease visa applications for Indian IT workers as Germany struggles with the shortage of skilled labour. On the second day of his 2-day visit to India, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that his government wants to make it easier for information technology experts from India to obtain work visas in Germany as the country struggles with the shortage of skilled labour. Scholz said that by improving the legal framework, Germany will become more attractive for software developers, and those with IT development skills are a priority for his government this year. On his visit to India's high-tech hub of Bangalore, Scholz said, quote, "We want to make the issuing of visas easier. Aside from the legal modernization, we want to modernize the entire bureaucratic process as well," end quote. Asked about Indian workers who don't speak German when they come to Germany, he said, "It should not be seen as a hurdle if people arrive in the country speaking English first and later acquire proficiency in German language." Former Indian National Congress leader and chairman of the New Democratic Progressive Azad Party in Kashmir, Ghulam Nabi Azad's son Saddam Nabi Azad joined active politics. He attended his first political meeting on February 26th. A party spokesman of DPA confirmed that Saddam Nabi Azad has joined active politics. Saddam, aged 41, was seen at the party's youth convention at Nigain Club in the presence of his father and senior party leaders. While he shared the stage with the party leaders, he did not address the convention. It was his first public appearance in the Kashmir Valley. Saddam, a businessman, is the eldest of the 2 siblings. He studied in England. Sofia Nabi Azad, his sister, has studied journalism. Party leaders said Saddam will play an active role in politics and focus on Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing the rally, Azad said he asked his son to travel throughout the length and breadth of the valley as a commoner, without any security. Bollywood's Badshah, Shah Rukh Khan's Pathaan, continued to rule the box office charts and became the only Bollywood film that has retained its top position on its fifth Saturday. Even after 32 days after its release, Shah Rukh Khan's starrer Pathaan is unstoppable at the box office. The film's monstrous success has created a new milestone for Hindi cinema, as it has become the biggest hit in Shah Rukh Khan's career till date. Shah Rukh Khan Deepika Padukone's spy actioner was released on January 25, 2023, with the lukewarm opening of Kartik Aaryan's Shehzada and Akshay Kumar's Selfie. SRK's spy thriller is the only commercial success of this year so far. Pathaan has already surpassed the Rs 500 crore mark at the Hindi belt in its fourth week, surpassing the feat achieved by Bahubali 2. The film racked in a massive amount of Rs 650 crore plus from all revenue sources. The film has already overtaken Aamir Khan's pan-India blockbuster Dangal. The film is a historic all-time blockbuster and is already the highest-grossing Hindi film worldwide, with gross collections of Rs 1,016 crore or more than $110 million till February 25th. Pathaan has now recorded $46.58 million in the overseas territories alone. That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
And thank you very much, Simran, for that report. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for in this segment. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us. It's been wonderful having your company. 30 degrees and sunny, so it's on the bit of a warmer side today, but it is the last day of February. We'll see you all next month. Until then, it's goodbye.